Inside court number 1 at the Old Bailey, without doubt the nation's most high-profile courtroom. The scene of many infamous trials, like Ruth Ellis, the last woman to be hanged, the gangster Kray twins, former Liberal leader Jeremy Thorpe, and Peter Sutcliffe, the Yorkshire Ripper. Now, within months, this courtroom will make history again, as television cameras will, for the first time, be able to cover part of the trial process.
Over the years, I've sat right here in these press benches, covering many major trials in this court, scribbling down often dramatic testimony. But the lack of cameras in this courtroom means you're reliant on me and other correspondents trying to relay a sense of that drama to you afterwards from outside court.
Now, broadcasters will be able to request cameras are allowed here at the Old Bailey and at other major trials to film the conclusion of those cases as judges sentence offenders.
What I hope will happen is that in high-profile cases, broadcasters such as Sky will use extracts from the sentencing remarks to illustrate the news stories that they're broadcasting, so that people will understand better why the result was as it is.
The court can certainly declare that the advice was unlawful.
Cameras were allowed into the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal several years ago. Their introduction has been judged a success and helped strengthen the campaign by the main news broadcasters to include major criminal trials.
All the broadcasters have been campaigning for cameras in Crown Courts for at least 10 years. This is a big leap forward. I hope it's successful because it will open up the courts to greater transparency, and I hope because of that people will think we should extend this to other courts as well.
It was snatched photographs of the infamous Dr. Crippen during his Old Bailey trial for murder in 1910 that led to the ban on cameras in court. More than a century later, some of the inner workings of the trial process will now be seen again.
The cameras will be focused right here on the trial judge. No lawyers, defendants or witnesses. Initially, providing there's a successful conviction, what we'll get is the judge's sentencing remarks.
In the US, the televised trials of O.J. Simpson and later the British nanny Louise Woodward attracted huge audiences around the world as every excruciating detail was played out before the cameras. And that worries those within the legal profession here, anxious that proceedings in this country should not become a spectator sport.
Well, I think when you're talking about the most serious criminal cases where there's a lot of sensitivity around the victim's rights, it is important to just take one step at a time. This is a really important first step. Of course, it will be kept under review in the future, but it is important just to strike that balance between openness and access on the one hand and the rights of the victims on the other.
So in effect, UK broadcasters are themselves on trial. Only when the judiciary is satisfied that the introduction of cameras here has been handled responsibly will there be any consideration to allowing some other aspects of the trial process to be filmed. Mark White, Sky News, Court 1 at the Old Bailey.